All right, ladies, buckle up. It's showtime.
And hello, everyone. It's the Copperhead Road Podcast live on Rumble, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio. I mean, the truth, you pick it. We're there. Fortunately or unfortunately, I'm your boy Foots. That's Rexy. We have a lot to get into today. So, with no further ado, let's get into it. Boom. What up?
Oh, not a whole lot. We're going to talk a little bit about Dave Smith and Coleman Hughes going at it. And then if there's time left, we're going to talk about Candace and her latest wacky ventures, I think is probably the best way to put it.
I'm telling you, again, she's a freaking kook. She's an absolute kook. And it's a shame. It's a really freaking shame, but we'll get to her.
Yeah.
To be fair to myself here, look, what have I not been saying for a really long time, probably since we started the show, that Dave Smith is kind of starting to get to me a little bit.
Yeah, and you actually early on when you were saying it, I was a little apprehensive to because I was still, again, I wouldn't say that I'm not a Dave Smith fan. There's a lot of things I agree with him on, but I wasn't in the same camp you are. Now we're sharing a tent on the same campsite.
Again, I love being in a tent with you. I love pitching a tent with you.
Jesus.
What?
Well,
Yeah, no.
pitching a tent could, it means a couple of things.
Well, I mean, both of us getting hard-ons together.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's fine.
You're okay.
Thanks.
Well, I'm glad production's on it today. Great.
Well, what's amazing is no matter how wacky and entertaining Candace is, it pales in comparison to the L that Dave Smith dropped with Coleman Hughes.
Look, he did. He dropped the L. I called it, and I've been saying it for a long time. What's happening to Dave, first of all, has been since the Douglas Murray interview. That's when he really, really started to just the guy went off the fucking wall. His ego was so fucking inflated. He just couldn't. I don't get it. I don't get it with him. He's so fucking smart. And he has such good opinions most of the time. But I think being an independent, being a libertarian, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, that really does give you a lot of leeway, in my opinion. So it's almost like, you don't have fucking borders. So how about and stop saying obvious. Obviously, there's nothing more condescending than having an early morning phone call with Rex than Dave Smith's condescension. Wow, does that mean he's having stuff drip off him?
I think that's condensation. I think that's different.
Okay. I just wanted to clear this up.
Yeah, and you had pointed out that libertarians don't have to have borders. They don't have to have responsibilities for their actions, and they don't have to have answers either. They don't have to have solutions. They just can point out the problem.
Look. I'm just going to leave this up to you, Rex. Okay? I mean, you can just make up your own decisions, but I mean, it's clear. Anybody with a fucking brain, anybody that's like ever read a book, Rex, would know that what you're saying is just, I mean, come on.
I mean, you're just a comedian.
I'm just a fucking comedian, Rex.
Right.
I mean, really.
I mean, you seem to have a lot of stats and data and research. I'd like to press you a little bit on some of your research, if that's okay.
Well, I mean, look, obviously you could do that, but obviously, look, it's obvious. Obviously. Yeah, we get it. We get it. It's supposed to be just so right in front of us that we're all supposed to just get it. And you know what? This time you have I believe I'm quoting him from yesterday. Okay. He says, oh, I guess I know what's going on all weekend long. I've seen the clips. Oh, okay. So I guess because I don't have a scalp in my hand this time, or I didn't scalp someone, that means I took the L. I lost the debate. Look, no one's. You see what I'm saying? Like, he just believes that there's no answers to these questions that he has. He feels as you ever hear of we've talked about the Islamic dilemma. Like, he feels like it's one of those things where, like, it's just right there. It's all on paper right in front of you where, oh, you'll contradict yourself if you say this. No, Dave, we don't contradict ourselves if we think we continue.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's totally fine to not go along with what's happening, the narrative, you know, the reasoning behind it, or whatever's going on. You can have your own opinion. You can say, you know, this is not the right path. I get it, but unless you have any kind of well, this is the direction I think we should go. Or if you got to have something. You can't just be like, well, this is wrong. Okay, well, it's wrong. Well, then if you know this is wrong, then you must have some inkling on what's right.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, he just can't. By the way, I was leaning in, squinting. I'm like, why can't I see him like very well today, or like myself? I didn't have us maximized. That's why.
Oh,
yeah. I was like,
you were trying to minimize me. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it was just very hard to see, but I can see now. Yeah, dude, you're 100% right. Again, let's get right into it because it's a lot. They did a 3.5 hour interview. Coleman Hughes interview Dave Smith. I mean, we can get past his little intro, I think, because we all know who they are. If you don't know who Coleman Hughes is, he's basically a I want to say independent journalist. I don't know who he. Oh, it's for the Free Press.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Barry Weiss's thing, right?
I believe so, and he does. I think he does do a lot of independent work. I know he's got a pretty big platform. I think he's. I would consider him very fair. Another thing that I before we do get into it, I was watching Dave's respond. Hey, what did I say to you? As soon as I sent you that screenshot, and I'm like, yeah. I was like, here comes damage control, and sure enough, hot right off the box, he came out for knowing he took the L and he needed to do damage control. Yeah.
I was gonna say the other thing with Coleman Hughes is I haven't seen him do a lot of stuff. Dude is steady. You can't tell if he's riled. You can't tell if he knows he's winning. And gotta be just infuriating debating him because you can't get a read on him. He must be hard to play poker with too.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a few times where I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, all right, well, Dave, you know what? You got him again. I mean, you make sense. And then he just out of nowhere. And it's like, what? He gave him like a 2-piece to the schnapps box.
Little fucking Jimmy Snuka off the top rope.
Or that, Speaking of fucking Snickers, anybody got a Snickers? Fucking starving.
Well, we're about to watch one now, I believe.
Oh, what does that mean?
Well, we have a Snickers ad coming up.
Okay, was that racial?
We gotta. I think we got. Huh? I thought we got to deal with Mars bars.
Yeah.
Was I what?
I thought you were being racist.
No, I wouldn't do that. I actually have an in. I know Deborah Mars, so.
Okay. D Mars. I like it. Very nice.
I actually do, and she is the heiress.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to accept it. I'm going to let you humble brag.
Okay.
I'm going to let you do that. Okay. So, again, before we press play, there was I kept, as I was watching, I jumped in comments and, it was amazing how first of all, everybody said this was going, yeah, in Coleman's chat during your interview, Dave, it was nothing but Israel bots. That's all it was. So apparently, and again, I don't know, I wasn't there, so maybe it was Israel bots, but
it sounds like an MMA fighter.
And now, entering the ring from Syracuse, New York. That's right, everybody. What's the name?
Israel Bot.
Israel Bots. Bots. They got the extra.
Yeah, if our production was on, sure they had the applause, but you know, what are you gonna do?
Oh, that's a shot.
All right.
No, it was you know what? That was, you could hear the attitude in that sound drop right there by her. It was
Yeah,
like
the fact that she pushed it with her middle finger.
yeah. and it was just like quick and like beep, like, you know what I mean? It was we were not getting the full applause just to please you.
Yeah. Story of my life.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We'll be at least until you clear this whole taking shots out of thing. But anyway, so yeah, so anytime, you know, you said something against Dave, you were an Israel bot. Now, on the flip side, you know what? Fuck Israel sometimes too. Because
Yeah.
anytime you criticize Israel, you're a fucking anti-Semite. So how about you both go fuck yourselves? How about you all, everybody goes fuck you fuck yourself? Because you can't win with you people. So I did have a little interaction with somebody, and I was really praying. I gave him, I just wrote at Copperhead Road Podcast. I'm sure I said reach out to us. Because he it doesn't matter. We won't get into his comment, but he was so well spoken. You know what I mean? His comment was good. We had a little short back and forth. He wanted me to expand on what I said. It was so civil. I'm like, this is great. Everybody else, you're either an anti-Semite, or you're what do they call them? Hats.
I have no idea.
Really? Well, somebody called us hats.
Hats?
Hats in chat, in on comment, like we were Jew shills. What do they call them? Like little big hats or something? They call them. Somebody will let us know.
I'm not into the lingo. I'm sorry.
That's all right, because you're an anti-Semite. Oh no, that would be because you. Either way, you're not good. But you're welcome. But you can't win with this type of argument, you know. And again, let me make it clear. As far as I think, Rexy feels the same. But I mean, I think Dave Smith does a really nice job. I thought Dave Smith has not had anybody give him good answers up until now.
Right.
But now he's gotten some good responses from somebody. Again, I'm not even necessarily saying I fucking agree with Coleman. I'm just saying it was very well addressed as far as the debate goes. Look, Coleman made it was Dave's debate to win type of deal. You know what I'm saying?
Don't they usually say to lose?
I don't know. I'll figure that out. I mean, if you want to humiliate me on the air, we could do that.
I don't think we need to.
I see what you did. No, I see what you did.
No. You got me all wrong. I
got you right.
Nah. And I'm like the perfect, sort of third.
Stop there, please.
I'm a good third party on this because as far as like the intricacies of the details and the history and, I have an outside, American opinion on what's going on over there, but I don't know a lot of the history, the details and things like that. So it was really good to sort of listen to that. Cause a lot of times when I hear Dave, I take all of his data points as fact because I don't have any, personal knowledge otherwise. So again, I was super intrigued by this because it was the first time, like you've sort of pointed out, is why do I have to fucking backhand compliment? Just sort of pointed out. You did point out. All right. You did,
man. Thank you.
You kind of did. So what?
Seems like you backtracked a bit.
All right. Well, either way, you may have mentioned it. That they both have a good counterpoint, and I really learned a lot from this. And
you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it.
No problem.
I was talking to Coleman.
Yeah. Well, It's really weird you talk to your cooler, by the way. But we'll deal with that
Oh,
later.
Gary Coleman.
Oh, fair enough. A
you-
midget corpse. Great.
You say you could actually fit him in a Coleman.
You know that joke's been done when he died on Twitter. So was that 2011?
What was the joke?
Something about a Coleman and a Coleman.
Oh, I get it. All right. Well, sorry.
I'll allow it. Okay, so let's roll here. So just before we get to where that anti-war philosophy, give me a quick run through because I just want to see what the little topics say. If there's anything specific, right?
Backwards, backwards.
I'm sorry. Yeah, my fault. I just want to see what it says. Did the influence? No, the other way. Okay. The here's for reuse. That's I don't care about that. Then the first was the intro. Okay, you can start going forward, Dave. I don't care that.
Yeah, the 48 that the marker that I had put down is when Dave starts sort of pointing out his problem with American imperialism.
Yeah. You know what? I'm okay with that because I'm okay with that. Let's do the 48. And let's get a little taste. Maybe 4738 is beautiful too.
You know, one of the arguments on the other side of you is that the world is basically a competition of great powers, or if not great powers, then regional powers. And if America were to adopt your favorite stance of isolationism and purely defensive wars, we're not fighting a war until there's a bomb dropped, you know, on American soil, and then we're going to fight a purely defensive war to eliminate the threat, and that's it. What would happen is all of the other powers in the world, from Russia to China to Iran, would simply fill in the void, right? And so you have examples like, you know, we pull our military bases out of the Philippines, and it's not 2 years before China has created an artificial island and plopped a military base right off the coast of the Philippines. And then there's the additional point, which I want to get your response to, which is that we feel many critiques of our military-industrial complex. The fact that we have this revolving door where you can predict with like coin flip accuracy that the current Secretary of Defense is going to end up at a weapons company in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. And there's a revolving door. And in the aggregate, it wouldn't require a genius in human psychology to think that perhaps this pushes the whole system to be a little more war-happy than it otherwise would. And I think I would probably disagree with you. I think I would certainly disagree with you about the power of that effect. But what would you say to the critique that Russia and China also have their own military-industrial complexes? It's not even a revolving door in the case of Russia because they're in the same room. It's like the 49% owner of Kalashnikov became the Deputy Secretary of Defense in 2018 in Russia. And he didn't even have to get rid of his shares in Kalashnikov, right? Yeah. So they're not revolving in and out. They're just in the same room. They're the same people. I'm annoyed how in China, it all works through bribery because everything is state-owned, but they've had massive bribery scandals in the past 10 years where the weapons companies are bribing the people that decide whether to get their to secure their contracts, to give them higher prices, who are bribing the people above them to make decisions that were down to the benefit of ultimately financial motives. So if America pulls back from the world, what is to stop the military-industrial complexes of all the other countries in the world from simply filling the space now that they're undeterred?
We should have started at 50, 45.
Well, I mean, I think, sure, I've certainly heard this argument before. I would kind of point out that it does seem to me that the more pro-war position almost always seems to rely on like an unfalsifiable counterfactual of how things would be way worse if we didn't do this. And whereas the anti-war position tends to more rely on the actual catastrophes that have happened. And so like, just to be clear, which I'll defend my philosophical views or whatever, but the idea of like, oh, the problem with the non-interventionist libertarians is that if we completely withdrew from the world, then China comes and totally takes over the world in our absence. It's like, okay, but like,
1 second. like even there, and I know I'm being critical of Dave right now, but like he is almost, he's like, oh well, I'll get to my, you know, my philosophies or whatever he said on it, but then he's got to preface what he thinks. He almost sets himself his own question. Is that fair? Or
Yeah.
he frames he prefaces and frames it in before he answers. I mean, before he talks about it, almost to explain it how he prefaced it. You know, does that make any sense?
Yeah, and he also and he does it, I think, several times in the interview where he immediately like dismisses the person he's talking to by saying, this is a question I've heard 100 times.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's a hack question to ask. And I thought it was a beautifully asked question. And I haven't heard Dave answer it. So it'd be interesting to me.
Exactly, bro. He does that shit all the time. And that's how and then he even made an excuse last night. He's like, because at the end or whatever, he said something like, oh, well, just whatever he said to like wrap it up. He knew that he shouldn't have done it that way because it was like he almost conceded it. You know what I mean? And it was one of his like main arguments.
Yeah, I believe he said something along the lines of, well, I would certainly I would certainly ask the people in the audience to go ahead and actually look at the video and whatever video they were talking. I think it was the Wesley Clark interview or something like that.
Right, which I did again last night on his show, and I'm sure he regrets the interview. I can tell you that. I'm sure he regrets doing it for sure.
Yeah.
But okay. I just wanted to make the point of just to keep that in the back of your mind. And again, I really don't care about Dave Smith. Like I more like him than not like him. I can tell you that.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, really.
Yeah, and again, I'm not even saying that I can't discredit his argument. I have told you in private that that I think you're gay. No, I mean
I was trying to say that you're gay. Oh my God, what hacks! We really are a bunch of fuck. I swear I was interrupting with saying you're gay.
Yeah. I have a problem with how he presents his argument. It's very dismissive of the person he's talking to, who in this case is very learned on the subject.
It wasn't always like that too, though.
Right. And sort of like transitionally, he's also even more condescending to somebody like me who doesn't know the ins and outs and the B-side details that he has. So it immediately makes me very standoffish because no matter who I agree with, I tend to like Coleman a little bit more on this because at least he's not dismissive and condescending to the other side of the argument.
Perfect. I agree. Right.
First, I will say just on a practical level, like without embracing pure Ron Paulianism or something, which is probably not going to happen tomorrow, like our criminal government in DC could have just not lied through their teeth to sell the war in Iraq. And like that would have just been a lot better. 1 million people would still be alive and trillions of dollars wouldn't have been wasted and tens of thousands of our bravest young boys wouldn't have committed suicide in the aftermath of it.
I agree.
And so like, we didn't need to fight all of these disastrous wars, even if you think on top of that, you can't completely pull back from the world. But I don't know. I fundamentally reject the idea that there will be one power who takes over the world. You know, part of
it wouldn't have to be one. Each regional power fills the vacuum of its own area that we leave.
Yeah,
I mean, and it's not a hypothetical based on nothing. It's based on, can you point to a single time period in the past 5,000 years of human civilization where the regional powers have not expanded using their militaries to the best of their ability, given the accounting for the blowback they will get? Can you point to any time? So it's not.
No, I'm not. Yeah, okay, but I'm not suggesting that like that no regional powers will exert influence over their realm of their sphere of influence. Like, of course not. But I'm also seeing right now Vladimir Putin is limping through his 3rd year in a war with Ukraine. I don't see him as being a threat to dominate Europe anytime soon. The rest of Europe is all against him and much wealthier and much stronger than him. China is more
But you
of a
implicitly, even in that argument, you concede implicitly that if they were less strong, for instance, if they didn't have all the backing of the United States, that he could expand, and that would be the natural tendency throughout all of human history.
I'm not conceding that that's necessarily the natural tendency, but sure, if Ukraine was weaker, he would be able to have defeated the country quicker. I'll certainly.
If you go back, like he goes, well, he basically concedes.
Yeah.
Then Coleman calls him out, or says what he says, and Dave goes, well, no, I'm not going to concede. Then he concedes.
Yeah.
Did I not hear that correctly? Maybe I'm misunderstanding it.
Yeah, back it up a little bit if you can.
Just the last 30 seconds, not even,
Introducing Woodlife Farm Market, where shopping becomes an experience like no other.
I like
Located at 36 Route.
All right. That's all
Can you
right.
point to any time? So it's not.
No, I'm not. Yeah, okay, but I'm not suggesting that that no regional powers will exert influence over their realm of their sphere of influence. Like, of course not. But I'm also seeing right now, Vladimir Putin is limping through his third year in a war with Ukraine. I don't see him as being a threat to dominate Europe anytime soon. The rest of Europe is all against him and much wealthier and much stronger than him. China is more
But you
of a
implicitly,
power.
even in that argument, you concede implicitly that if they were less strong, for instance, if they didn't have all the backing of the United States, that he could expand.
Okay, so he
and that would be the natural.
Right there, by the way. So what happened there, Rex? He basically he countered back. He made the argument and showed him where he was implicitly, contradict. You know what I'm saying? That like he was conceding.
Yeah, he definitely was very sloppy at the beginning of what he was trying to explain. And again, Coleman Hughes very rightly points out that no matter what entity it is, as small as a plant, as big as an empire, you're either growing or dying. There is no idle kind of in between sort of a thing. So he's right. If Ukraine, if Ukraine or Europe didn't have our backing, Russia would expand and take over, because yes, Europe has a lot more military equipment, but they don't have the drive and the might that Russia has. And again, without Europe, without us, Ukraine without us, they don't have the willingness of the people or the might to take over. So again,
right. Even if they had half of it, Rexy, they don't have a psychopath as the leader where he has nothing to lose. You know what I mean? So, meaning Russia has, a psychopath. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they'll keep throwing people in the grinder until they win. I mean, you can ask Germany if that's the case, and Germany on paper should have won, but that's not how it turned out, because again, Russia's willing to go to the fucking mattresses anytime that they want. No, I mean, not Russia as a rule, but the person in charge does.
Yeah. No, Gorbachev was willing to. He felt him and Reagan. It was a way to deal. You know what I mean? But fucking not Putin.
No.
Natural tendency throughout all of human history.
I'm not conceding that that's necessarily the natural tendency, but sure, if Ukraine was weaker, he would be able to have defeated the country quicker.
Yeah, I'm not conceding that natural tendency, but it is.
So you don't agree with the Mearsheimer guys that believe great powers have a default tendency to expand up to the limit of the resistance against them?
Well, listen, certainly I think every organization has a desire to expand.
Yeah, there's the contradiction.
This is true in general of businesses, of countries. So they're always trying to expand, not necessarily territorially. And I do think that a country like China who is kind of known for playing the long game, even in their kind of crazy centrally controlled method. No, I don't think that they're watching America going bankrupt, fighting all of these wars and saying, oh, we got to get in on all that action. I think that, so essentially, yeah, I would probably agree with much of what John Mearsheimer says in the sense that it is the way of the world that great powers will have their realm of influence. I do think that's true. But looking at the world right now, I mean, it's just, I find this to be kind of a silly thing where we become the world empire, we bully the entire world, and then we sit there being worried that someone else is going to start doing this, whereas China has adversaries all around it. China has to contend with Japan and South Korea. It's not so obvious that they just take over
no
the world.
Unless
And no,
you're
I just
behind them.
essentially, no, I'm a George Washingtonian on this. I think that America, we struggle enough with just doing liberty right here. That should be our focus. And no, I don't think, like, I think you can trade with the world and be friends with the world. And yes, it will suck to be a little country next to a bigger, much stronger country. That's already true. That's
right
true.
there. Yeah, he can fuck off. Like that.
Wow,
That's
took a bad turn quick.
Well, again, that's the whole core of his position is that he has a big problem with America being the big dog. Well, I hate to tell you, Dave, but if you want to enjoy the lifestyle that you do, we have to maintain always being the big dog. We can't just be another small country living together, kumbaya, trading, and everybody happy. That doesn't fucking happen. And again, he goes on for 2.5 more hours of this, and that, in a nutshell, is his whole position that I have a problem with.
Yeah. And he makes fun a lot about the indoctrination of universities and stuff like that. I mean, I feel like he's taking that same approach when it comes to that. Like, yeah, you know what, terrorism is bad, but you know what, this is my Dave Smith, by the way. You gotta remember what we did. You gotta remember the things that we've done.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I mean, it's kind of obvious we've done some things ourselves.
Well, and I've said it before too. I don't know if I've ever said it, but like, land belongs to either the person who can take it or the person that can defend it. Always.
I've seen your bumper stickers.
Right.
I get it.
Again, I don't know why we keep putting them on the windshield. That just seems dangerous.
Well, again, if people would maybe start crucking their neck like this a little bit when they drive, maybe they wouldn't have. I'm not doing this. We don't have time today.
Oh.
So,
is he the one that has one testicle?
He does. He does. Yeah. God bless him.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mother had one testicle.
I'm not going to let you talk about your mother like that.
I said, your mother.
Your mother. I like that.
Yeah. All right. This is a good one too.
Army boots. That's it.
Wow. Could have been old school. I feel terrible. If I was at the beach, I'd fucking bury your head in the sand. And then I'd walk away and lift barbells.
Yeah, or play volleyball with dog tags on.
Yeah, or lift girls like in a beach blanket.
I was gonna say, like, you put them on your shoulder and you play. What was that game where you play the pool and you put the?
And I pick them up like bowling balls and spin them around on my. Like, all right, let's hit play.
With America, we're more guilty of making it suck for little countries than any of them are.
Good.
So I just don't find any of this stuff compelling.
Okay, let's move on because there are other topics I want to get to. One of your big arguments, and you've made this on Rogan and elsewhere, is that Israel got us into the Iraq war, or more specifically, pro-Israeli interests were a key factor, a key influence that pushed America into the war in Iraq. So
before Dave answers,
I want to give you the floor
because that's a very, very important question. So you got the question, Rexy?
Yeah.
Okay. If you notice, he says key, right? He says it's a key factor in getting America into the war with Iraq.
Right.
That's where I think we have the problem. Dave has the problem, and where I think Coleman was really smart to say key, because listen, I think that Israel, among other countries, ask for favors, give favors, especially when they're supposed to be our allies, right? So I think and I'm gonna, so I don't have to interrupt the video too much. I'm gonna try to get ahead of it and let it, like, I understand when it comes to connecting dots, you may be able to make everything work and have a nice pretty picture at the end, but Dave is so steadfast on this is what happened and that's why it happened. And then all of a sudden, if he once Coleman makes his argument, he starts to like almost not concede, but be like, I'm not saying, I'm not saying it's the only reason. You kind of do until you get pushed back. And then like, I feel like if I was talking to him, they'd be like, oh, I mean, please, it's obvious. I don't mean the only reason. It wasn't like he said, you go in there and do it, and we did it. Obviously, there was well, when you present the case, Dave, 99.9% of the time to people that don't push back like Coleman did, you kind of give that vibe off where it's just another thing to add to what the Zionist pigs, you know what I'm saying, got us involved in.
Yeah, and if you do want to watch this this video on YouTube, we'll run it on the banner that where you can find it. I also want people to listen, and I think Dave kind of drops the ball on here because it is an argument that seemed kind of weak on Coleman's part. That he only mentions financial influence. He doesn't necessarily mention anything else, which to me, I think that there's a lot of other ways to influence.
Well, namely the memo.
Well, I'm talking about, he says, that Israel only spent, I don't know, X amount of $1 million lobbying United States, but there's intel, bad intel, favors, things like that. There's a lot of other confounding variables.
I didn't have a point. I didn't have a problem with that. I was very surprised when you said that to me this morning. I forgot about that. Yeah, I didn't have a problem with. I kind of liked the point. Again, is it rock solid? No, like you saying, like, your take. I kind of get that too, but I kind of liked what he did. I don't think he dropped the ball. That's weird.
Who, Dave or Coleman?
No, Coleman.
No, I'm saying Dave dropped the ball because he could have used that to bolster his side of, well, I understand that they only spent so much money, but they also do this, this, and this.
Okay. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Good talk.
All right, Nicky.
Case here.
Yeah, well, I mean, if for John Mearsheimer, as you were just mentioning him, so I just was at the top of my mind, but he wrote a book called The Israel Lobby, where he really details this pretty extensively with all the footnotes and citations that you need.
I've read it. It. I find it totally unconvincing, but
well, I mean, I don't even know how do you find it unconvincing? I mean, obviously,
it's a little shot though.
Well, I wanted to give you. Okay, so
I'll lay out the case if you want.
Go ahead.
No. I thought you could hear it over it. That's kind of, he kind of pulled a little tricky. That's a little trickery when you kind of chime in with, that unconvincing document. Go on. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Want first, but sure.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if we're talking about Mearsheimer, let's talk about that, and then you can lay out whatever other
sure
elements of the case you think are. So the idea that the domestic Israel lobby is big enough or powerful enough to get America to fight an entire war that we would not otherwise have fought is, to me, ridiculous. And now I'll give you a few touch points. During the entire George W. Bush administration, the Israel lobby spent $17 million lobbying Congress. Now, that might sound like a lot to me or you. It is absolute chump change on the scale of domestic lobbying. To put it in perspective, The tobacco lobby spent $200 million, so more than 10 times that amount over the same time period. And they couldn't even stop Congress from passing a federal tax hike on cigarettes in 2009. Now, during the Obama era, the Israel lobby spent $30 million, and they were outspent by the dentists. The dentist lobby spent $32 million. This is all according to OpenSecrets.org, which is
what is
usually the
fucking
standard
dentist
source people go
lobbying
to
for?
such figures.
You get that fucking fifth dentist
again,
that you should brush
not
your
to
teeth every day?
repeat my favorite phrase, but like a firefly to the sun.
Good night, everybody.
Compared to the
fucking hack.
$2 billion, for instance, that Wall Street spent lobbying Congress, and they couldn't even prevent Dodd-Frank from being passed. So the idea that the domestic Israel lobby could get us to fight an entire war that we wouldn't otherwise have fought at the same price as the dentists are paying Congress is too much for me.
Right. Oh, this is a topic for another show, but the bankers love Dodd-Frank, and I think they were quite happy with that bill being. But that's a topic for another show.
They tried to prevent it from being passed, and only once they failed did they try to mold it as a plan B to their own image. So
yeah, I mean, look,
you can't start don't start the movie in the middle. They failed with $2 billion to prevent it being passed.
I think you're the one who's missing the firefly for the sun, or whatever your analogy was in that case with the big banks. It's like, look, man,
It really
you can
has a
talk
lot
about
of
these people who like
flutterisms.
get contribute tons of money to candidates in Washington, D.C., and then point out the one area where they didn't get the policy that they wanted, or they didn't get their A plan and only got their B plan. Okay, but then if you zoom out, you can look at how the whole system is rigged in their favor. They get free money and then lend it out to the American people. I think it seems to be working out pretty good for them rigging this system. But onto the Israel lobby thing. I mean, look, again, this isn't refuting any of what Mearsheimer said. Mearsheimer simply claimed that because you're talking about AIPAC, and he's talking about the entire lobby.
No. Those numbers I gave were the entire pro-Israel lobby, of which AIPAC is something like half.
Okay, fine. But But you're talking AIPAC and the American Enterprise Institute and the Washington.
I'm talking about every organization that's listed under the pro-Israel lobby on Open Secrets.
But what he's talking about for most of the book, which is really what I'm always hammering down. I mean, look, there's no question like AIPAC supported the war, and some of these other, or the American Enterprise Institute, they all supported the war, and they threw money toward that, and they lobbied for it. But this was a neoconservative war. I mean, the neoconservative, I don't think there's any chance. Look, the Iraq War was highly debated. It was contested. It was contested in Congress. There were people who were against it. There were uniformed military people who were against it. There were people at the State Department who were for it. And the neocons were the ones who really pushed it through. And look, I mean, Coleman, you look at who the neocons were, okay? In their own words, they have deep loyalty to Israel. Every last one of them has said in their own words that they have a deep commitment toward Israel. They're writing all of their policy papers through the 1990s on how we have to overthrow the government in Iraq as part of this clean break strategy on behalf of Israel. And then they are all of George W. Bush's men. Literally, once the towers come down, George W.
Do you want to jump ahead to some other points in the video?
Yes, if you don't mind. That was a good call. Can you go up and let's just see what if it changes right away? Okay, good. I just want to make sure I don't want to miss his response to him talking about Wesley Clark and that whole spiel.
Yeah. See if you can find.
That might be right here where she is. It might be because it is part of. They talk about it twice, I believe.
Yeah.
He's saying the decision's been made.
Oh yeah.
That we're going to war.
And again, man, I fucking knew, dude. Like the second I was watching this, I think I texted you right when it came out when I was watching it.
Yeah.
Fuck, man, I knew this thing was gonna blow up. And last night, everybody and their mother were talking about this. It was crazy. Everybody was talking about it. Fucking everybody.
Actually, my mom was talking about the wonderful lunch that she had in North Carolina. So I'm gonna have to call you out on that.
Did she bring up her one testicle? No,
she brought up Wesley Clark. Oh, you son of a bitch! You're right. You're absolutely right.
All right, let's go.
They say also this will be good for Israel and Jordan and our other allies in the region. So Panak, this idea that the Project for a New American Century that you and I both agree is a good bellwether for the neocons,
Worst name
was
ever, by the
not
way.
using the WMD argument. It was their main argument. It was almost their only argument long before Iraq. Now let's get to this.
No, but this is just, wait, hold on, but Coleman, this is just not right. I mean, you've read A Clean Break, a new strategy for securing the realm and coping with crumbling states. I assume
that wasn't about U.S. foreign policy. That was a recommendation for Israeli foreign policy.
Yes, okay, but you're saying they talk openly about wanting to overthrow.
You see what I'm saying, Rex? Right there. He goes. Coleman says that has to do with Israeli policy, not U.S. policy. He goes, yes, I know, but, and then basically I hear him saying, yes, I know, but I'm gonna spin it or say it without anybody pushing back and use it for my narrative,
right?
Not for what it really was. And let me say that I'm not saying, Dave, you can't use it, because you can use it when you do couple it along with a whole bunch of other things. So I have no problem with it. But my point is, you can't ignore the fact of what the man just said.
Right.
And with your condescending fucking horse shit, it makes me sick. And I don't like what Dave Smith is doing either. And I got you as a host, and that's what am I gonna do?
Wow. I thought we were friends.
Throw Saddam Hussein for the clean break strategy. Like, so, okay, like, yes, in the letter to Bill Clinton, they didn't say that, but they had written openly about this.
No,
it's the entire strategy that they laid out. And we also have a 4-star general who's on record saying that he saw these plans, that they were going to go overthrow all of these governments.
Let's deal with one at a time. The clean break memo.
Sure.
The Clean Break Memo, written by Richard Pearl, Douglas Faith, all these neocons.
David Wormser.
In 1996, it is a recommendation to Israel, to the Likud, to Benjamin Netanyahu, to say, here are some things we think that Israel should prioritize. It is not a recommendation about what American foreign policy should prioritize. That's the first thing to note. The second thing to note is that when that paper advocates overthrowing Saddam, the point of overthrowing Saddam was to replace him with a Hashemite monarch that would be friendly to Israel, like Jordan is friendly to Israel. That's the whole point. The point of deposing Saddam was not to replace it with a democracy. That is nowhere in the Clean Break Memo.
Muslims.
So question for you, if the Clean Break Memo was some kind of blueprint, why didn't we even make an attempt to replace Saddam with a Hashemite monarchy?
Oh yeah, I mean that's a good point. I think the whole thing fell apart, right? I mean, like but
we never even contemplated it. We never even floated the idea. So how could it be therefore true that the Clean Break Memo is some kind of blueprint?
Well, Shalaby was like.
Okay, now he clearly catches Dave in a dead end here, where Dave is like, yes, I agree that they ended up going into a democracy. He's like, yeah, but the plan was to make it a Hashemite dynasty, and Dave's like, yeah. No, I agree with you. Yeah, I'm glad you agree with me. Like, wait a minute, Dave. That's not what you said at all. You're completely contradicting yourself. No, God, I agree with me. What?
You guys are so stupid. You don't get what Dave is really saying. He's so smart.
Judith Miller's big source on the whole thing, right? I think that a lot of the neocons seem to really believe that was going to be what happened, and that's not what happened after they invaded the country. But Coleman, I mean, like, you're sitting here saying, like, okay, so these people are like, they're writing to Benjamin Netanyahu saying, here's the strategy for a clean break to get away from the peace process, so you don't have to give up a Palestinian state and you can keep the status quo going. And so what we think you ought to do for that is overthrow this guy Saddam Hussein. And then you have them advocating for overthrowing Saddam Hussein for years more after that. Then they actually get into power and they do the thing, and we're supposed to pretend like that there's no connection there. I'm not like connecting wild dots. I'm saying like they said this is what their interest was, this is why they wanted it done, and then they did the thing.
No, that's not true. I mean, it's not true, because Richard Pearl was not saying what America should do. He was saying what he thought Israel should do. What we ended up doing was not what was in the Clean Break Memo. Your whole argument is that what we ended up doing was what was in this memo. It's not true. We deposed Saddam, and nowhere in the Clean Break Memo does it say make Iraq a democracy. No Israeli Likud member would think you can make Iraq a democracy. They thought that notion was ridiculous. So what we ended up doing had nothing to do with what Richard Pearl recommended, and everything to do with what George Bush thought would make sense. And you could be totally critical of that idea,
of all of
but you
that.
cannot argue that what we did.
There he goes again, right?
Memo. That's just factually incorrect.
No.
And then everything else
Right.
Panak is saying, their entire argument is WMD, WMD,
Coleman,
WMD. You don't find Israel there.
Coleman, this is like if I point to General Wesley Clark saying we're going to overthrow 7 governments in the next 5 years and that decision's being made. And then you say, yeah, dude, but we didn't overthrow. It took us like 15, 20 years to do that. Like, yes, of course. Obviously, George W. Bush and Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld and, Condoleezza Rice or Colin Powell at the time. Obviously, all these guys had influence on this too. And so I'm not claiming that the piece of paper came to life and everything that was on it magically happened after.
That's fucked up. That is so fucked up. No, you're not saying the paper claim to just came to life, because if you said that, we would think you're absolutely silly, because everybody knows that papers don't come to light. So that's why you said it that way, to make it this outlandish reach like that I would have to be doing.
Yeah, it's like a straw man with a clown face.
Bingo. Yes. I mean, that's exactly what you're doing. No, you're not saying that way. You are presenting it in a different way. But at the end, you're not just saying it was just one of many things that were part of. No, and if that is the case and that is what you're saying, then it really shows you just what a fucking, that you must just not like fucking Jews or not like Israel, because now you're really just picking. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like, it's just another thing that you had to find that, oh, okay, well, I don't think it's really exactly why we got into, it's maybe just one of the reasons that we got into Iraq. But you choose to use that to keep pushing this what a problem Israel is. And again, Israel is a fucking problem, without a doubt. But fucking heed, young man.
Whoa! Oh, heed. Never
Yes,
mind.
yes.
Maybe we get talking about Israel and it just
Arms wide open. Oh, it's Creed. Fuck.
Mm.
Okay.
After that, it's still a pretty important paper to look at. And this was written by people who were in positions of substantial power when the time came due. And so, yes, you're right. The spreading democracy to Iraq, which it seemed to, at least in George W. Bush's estimation, be an essential selling point to the war. You're right. That wasn't in the paper, and that got added later. But I think it's still pretty relevant.
That's kind of half the enchilada. Let's talk about this.
No, it's I don't. Okay.
Let's talk about this.
How many times
Wesley
you see a
Clark
freaking
memo
black
that
guy
he
saying
never
it's half
saw?
the enchilada?
Okay. So 4-star General Wesley
He never
Clark.
saw it?
Yeah,
Oh,
he
the
says
stamp
so in the
now.
C-SPAN interview. You don't remember this? He's talking about it. He says
Like he
this guy.
never saw it?
He says I'm talking to the Joint Chiefs
Oh,
of
yeah.
Staff.
He says he handed him the paper and he was like, all right. Don't look at that.
He says, do not show this to me. I don't want to be on the hook for seeing classified info.
Yeah, I think it was, you're talking about the
Coleman
interview with
didn't let
Amy
him get
Goodman
away
on
with his,
Democracy
like,
Now, right?
Yes.
Right.
Like,
Well,
So
pause
memo
right
that-
there. Oh, okay. So every single interview where I've heard Dave Smith talk about Wesley Clark and the 7 countries in 5 years thing, and he even just said it like 5 minutes ago. He said Wesley Clark saw the plans, in quotes, saw the plans, and then now Coleman Hughes is like, well, there's this interview where he's talking about Wesley Clark. He's like, yeah. I don't want to see the plans. I don't want to be a part of. Okay, that's not what you've always said, and including up to 5 minutes ago, you said he saw the plans, and now you're like, oh yeah, that interview where you didn't want to see the plans. Yeah, I know about that.
Yeah, the great point. And let me tell you something. He was, and here's how you know he was shook. First of all, there was a few cues earlier that you just knew right off the bat he was shook. But last night,
57 in his mouth.
yeah, he's carving in fucking Brooks was here on a fucking beam.
That's 2 episodes in a row. You mentioned that. I love it.
Unbelievable, fucking Shawshank. But he last night, you can tell he regrouped he was regretting the fuck out of not. He knew. Now his ego won't let him say he knew he was beat like the devil when he went down to Georgia that time.
Yeah, looking for a soda steal.
Yeah, you remember that? He was way behind.
We can't do this. We can't do this.
I know. The thing is, you know, he
making it hot. Sorry.
all right, come on.
All
right, look. Easy, Jim Dandy. Easy. Jim Dandy. Don't worry about it. Just the point is that you know, I forget where the fuck I was at, but the other point I wanted to make, and the only reason I remember that is because I wrote it down. If he last night when he was doing damage control, like you can tell he regrouped because he was almost like doing his setup was almost like, okay, now like I'm obviously paraphrasing, but like you could tell he was ready to address the Wesley Clark issue, but to defend the real Dave, meaning the one he's done, like you said, on all the other interviews, he was back to defending that. He just, at that moment, he must have been fucking rattled or something because, you know, he needed that day to regroup, but he did address it on his own show. Still not solid, but the other thing, and then I'll let it go on. Enough with the 4-star general thing.
Right.
He a 4-star general. He brings his hands up. A 4-star general. He gives Wesley Clark all this credibility. Let me ask you this, Rexy. If the 4-star general said he was wrong, would he have that much credibility with Dave?
No, of course not.
All right, let's play. I'm ready.
Wesley Clark never saw.
Hang on, I'm not.
Oh, sorry. You see me throw the pen down on the desk? I'm like, basically push my chair.
Oh fuck! What was the?
So sorry.
No, I was trying to think of the line from Back to Ridiculous Radio with
So I guess
Pompladouche, where remember he said you basically spun around the chair and told me to fuck yourself or something.
Something like I could just push myself away from the desk. But it was
you remember the pitcher Hideki Nomo?
Yeah.
And like even like Fernando Venezuela.
Sure.
They had like that funky delivery, which
the
really
Fernando would look up at his cap.
Yeah, where it would throw the batters off when they first came out. Nobody could hit them. You know what I mean? Because it was just something completely different. Well, you know, they worked for a while until people started watching the video and figuring it out and getting used to it. And that's what Dave did. And that's where he mainly fucked up, is that he didn't do any extra work than he would normally do in one of these interviews, like the things he did with Murray and other people that he's debated. Is, you know, obviously Coleman Hughes watched the fucking videotapes and he knew Dave's argument. And Dave didn't do any of the fucking pre-work. He didn't do any of the research that he should have. And he walked in thinking he was going to throw a no-hitter, a no-shutter. And Coleman ate his fucking lunch because Dave was fucking lazy and he didn't prep, and he just thought that he could just fucking go out there and throw 103 mile an hour fastballs, and he got fucking rocked.
He was looking at the scalps piling up in the corner and he was like, meh, you know what? Let me bring this duffel bag. You know what I mean? He's like, I got one. I'm going to have to bring one home, I guess. And you're right. He did. He went in and even look at the picture of Coleman on screen right now. He's kind of creepy as far as like, I wonder how much he lulled him into a false sense of security. You know what I mean? Meaning prior to the show, because he went right. He went right at him, but his no attack, calm delivery is just so disarming. You know what I mean? You really do take off all your armor, you know, as you walk in the door, and he's sitting there with like 2 samurai swords, like, yo, what up, nigga?
Yeah.
You know?
Now Dave, on the other hand, looks like he's about 3 seconds away from taking his DUI mugshot.
Right. Or I should just go get Narcan.
Okay, it said, according to his hearsay, and it would be dismissed in a court as hearsay, that we're going to overthrow 7 countries in 5 years: is Iraq, then Syria, then Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Iran. So the first thing I want to say about this is that Pentagon memos in the Bush White House were called snowflakes because they came so often.
Whoa.
And they piled up on your desk.
Whoa.
And let me read to you
Gross.
from the Washington Post at the time.
I'm going to be a janitor there.
Rumsfeld, whose sometimes abrasive approach often alienated other cabinet members, produced 20 to 60 snowflakes, these memos, snowflakes a day, 20 to 60 a day. Regularly poured out his thoughts in writing as the basis for developing policy. And Rumsfeld's aide, Keith Urban, which is a funny name, estimated that he wrote 20,000 memos during his time in.
We'll stick to funny, you stick to fucking politics.
Yeah.
And then we have from National Security Counterterrorism Advisor Richard Clark, who is in the room. He was close with Condoleezza Rice, National Security.
Where'd she name the kid?
He says, from time to time, Condoleezza Rice would show Clark notes sent by the defense secretary, these snowflake memos, all telling her to stay off his turf. The first time she got one of them, she thought, what do I do with this? Says Clark, who adds she was advised to ignore them. Every once in a while, one of these ranting Rumsfeld notes to Condi would come. You can almost hear the eye roll. Like, this dude Rumsfeld is drowning us in his little thoughts and his stupid memos. He sent 20 yesterday. I get 20 emails from someone. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Send me one important one.
Really?
So then this guy, 4-star General Wesley Clark, comes along. Doesn't see the memo, hears about one memo, isn't privy to it because he's not allowed to see it, also isn't privy to the other 20 memos that day, isn't privy to the memos next week that might cancel out the strategy that was laid out.
This is all plausible.
Evidence that this memo was actually important as opposed to one snowflake in a shifting strategy of 60,000.
Well, I think, okay, so first of all, Wesley Clark has actually clarified a bunch of this more recently, but he did talk about how he had actually seen the plans originally a decade earlier in 1991.
That was some separate Israeli study, he said, right?
Yeah, well, it was a little bit clunky the way he said it. He said it came from Paul Wolfowitz's desk, and that he had brought it to Brent Scowcroft, I think, who had said, let's look at that after. He said it was resurrected in an Israeli study later, and it wasn't exactly clear what he was referring to there.
Yeah, I want to bring something up too. And again, not that it matters, but I am bringing it up for a little bit of a so you can get a feel. Sure, everybody felt the impact of 9/11, right? But being in New York, like at the time, close where I was watching people really fucking, be impacted right there in the moment. And I don't mean like I was there. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? But being within 12 miles, and watching the mayhem, you have to go back and remember the absolute chaos that the country was in after the attacks, and think about where we were at as far as government wise. I mean, they had to be floating every single idea you can even think about, right?
Yeah.
They had to be floating, things that were crazy, things that were plausible, things that, that our Israeli allies came up with that our German allies came up with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And with that
effect.
with that, right? Plus, we have on record Condi saying, getting, memos and all this shit on a regular basis. It became kind of, I mean, those two things together, you're going to get some wacky shit.
For sure.
So my point is, I bet you that wasn't even the freaking craziest idea that was floated, or one of the ideas that were floated that somehow came true later on, 25 years later. And because it came true 25 years later, doesn't necessarily mean that it was because of a memo or because of the 1991 plan.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, and even if you want to get down to semantics,
I was hoping you say brass tacks.
Sure. We'll get down to the brass tacks. That's something we got to look up the origins of.
I'm going to pull mine out right now.
All right. You know, again, the memo supposedly said, 7 countries in 5 years. And I think that they said it took 20 years or something like that to manifest.
Yep.
Okay, but then he's like, yeah, well, we'll talk about that. It was a plan that he had saw 10 years earlier. Okay, so did it say 5 years or 7 countries in 5 years, 10 years earlier, and it took 35 years, or was it like 35 years and 7 countries? Like, okay, well, if the original plan was in 1991, it took 35 years to get 5 countries out of the 7?
Well, Rex, I mean, obviously, I'm not saying the memo just came to life. I mean, obviously, I mean, okay, that's fine. That's fine. We get it, Dave. We get it.
Yeah, I just suggest you go home and you read the memo. You read Wesley Book's third book. Wesley Book.
read Wesley Book's Clark. I dare you to do it. I just fucking dare you. Yeah, that's right. Eat a Clark bar when you read it. Go ahead. No, but
watch National Lampoons.
Yeah, but you're 100. Oh, Sparky. So
I'm gonna go for it.
I'm gonna go for it, Sparky. Let's get out of here, kids. Pulls her panties over his finger.
Points at him first.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was hanging on his finger. Anyway, so he really needs to stop. Like it again. I don't fucking disagree with a lot of the shit. I even agree with some of the fucking Israel shit with him. But dude, take the fucking L. I had a little bit of a chat last night with somebody, and the guys, he made the point of, he's like, people that say Coleman won is kind of like saying Johnny Cochran won because OJ was innocent. So I go, no, that doesn't really work. I said, because now I go, again, I'm paraphrasing what I said. I can look up, but I was like, I was like, that's not true. I was like, because if it was the civil case, I go, because we're not dealing with like a reasonable doubt issue. That's why he got, like OJ was let loose. It wasn't. It had nothing to do with the facts. You know what I mean? Or it had nothing to do with anything else. So in a civil case, how'd it work out for you? Johnny Cochran lost, meaning, so like that analogy didn't even work. And I probably did just as bad of a job explaining it to him through text, is why he said, I don't quite understand. Can you flush? I want to flush that out a little bit. So he did it as a gentleman. And then I did go deeper. And I think we're.
Oh, okay. And to my critique of Dave and this whole thing is like, dude, just keep your arguments simple. Why do you have to go into, the plans early? Okay, you have a problem with Israel bombing fucking the innocents of Palestine. Keep it close. Keep it micro. You don't have to go into this big fucking long-winded why we're here. That okay, you don't want fucking innocent people to die. Make your fucking case. You don't have to expose yourself, to other things that people can call you out on, because your argument's here. Don't make it about Iraq and Libya and Liberia and all those other things. Keep it small. Make your case. Get the fuck out.
His biggest achievement and his downfall always the Douglas Murray interview, because it gave him such power and praise, which was well deserved, but he just ate it up. It was God, he loves himself. God, does he think he is the authority on Israel and all that is not?
Yeah, and in that interview, Douglas Murray was the Hideo Nomo. He came into it lackadaisical, didn't really formulate a plan, and
and that came from his arrogance as well.
Right, exactly. Hubris. Not a good thing. Back to you.
But again, we got a 4-star general, right? And he was not saying, like, because this was kind of weird when I remember Douglas Murray kind of taking a similar line with this when I had my conversation with him. But he wasn't saying like, oh, there's a memo or there's just like something like what Wesley Clark is saying, and you're right, it is him saying what he heard from someone else. But he was saying, and a four-star general felt comfortable enough to like say this on national television, that he went to the Defense Department and was told that the decision had been made, that we were not only going to Iraq. The way he tells the story is he came in and he found out they had decided they were going to invade Iraq. Then he comes back a couple months later, this is late 2001, and the guy goes, dude, it's so much worse than just Iraq. We're going to topple 7 countries in the next 5 years. Now, he said he goes to show him this, and Wesley Clark's like, I shouldn't really be looking at that document there, and this might be a crime for you to be showing this. But, okay, so what we have is a 4-star general saying he knew of these plans a decade later. The same group of people is now back in power after being kicked out, you know, for the Clinton years. They're now back in power. He's saying the decision's been made that we're going to war with. Hold on one second.
How would he know?
Hold on one second.
He didn't even. He wasn't even allowed to see the memo.
Just finish the point, okay? And then you can respond to this. He's saying you're right. He didn't see the memo. It's just a 4-star general saying that somebody at the Defense Department told him the decisions to be made, and then in the following years. We didn't overthrow 7 countries in 5 years, but we did overthrow a bunch of the ones on the list or target a bunch of the ones on the list. And so, Coleman, my argument here isn't that, again, I'm not saying that memo came to life and exactly what was written down on that has happened. Of course, there were more memos. Of course, there were more decisions that were added in afterward. But isn't it kind of hard to, don't you find it to be a little bit of a coincidence that General Clark tells you the decision was made in 2001 that we were going to overthrow Gaddafi and Assad? Like just think.
Doesn't it make sense that the memo had something to do with it? Not that it's the one. Everybody he named is this extreme Muslim country that are surrounding them that hate them. So I ain't gonna lie. I think regardless, you know what I mean? I think that might have been on the you know, in the back of their mind at some point. So it's you know, it's not a shocker.
No, it isn't. It's sort of a you don't need a memo.
Right.
Think about that. That was a wild claim in 2001 to be made, and then we did just that. You don't find that? That doesn't make your eyebrows poke up a little bit? Like, that doesn't make you go like, oh,
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. So it doesn't make my eyebrows raise for the following reasons. First of all, the people that actually saw the memo, like Condoleezza Rice, would say, oh, okay, another fucking 20 memos from Dawn. Put that in the special filing cabinet for my memos from Dawn, which is the trash bin. There's no evidence that this was some grand strategy, right? And the only evidence you have is the general who never saw the memo. So then you actually look at, is there any set of facts that would persuade you that this wasn't a plan? Because we didn't, 3 of the countries out of 7, almost half the countries have not done regime change, let alone within 5 years, let alone in the specific order prescribed by the memo. And so, and not to mention, we did do regime change in countries not on the memo at all, like Liberia. So there's actually no variable from the memo that actually matches our foreign policy. And so my question to you is like, is there any possible set of facts?
Yeah, again, there is no consistency between, again, other than a couple of them that were, like you had pointed out, obvious, you know, Israeli targets. Again, like you said, there is no, it's not within the time description. It's not within the order prescription. And there's ones that we did take out that aren't on the list.
I think the list could have easily just said, you know, what everybody else's list says. Anybody that is like a threat to us, we need to like address. Is that fair? I mean, it really, I mean, geographically, all those nations are a fucking problem. What are can you name the 5 to 7 nations that are surrounding Israel? Well, are they on the list? Bet you they're close.
Right.
You know, or proxy of.
Well, and you know what's odd on that list is, you know, not Gaza, not the West Bank, not Jordan, not the Houthis, not you know, again, they're not countries, but the people who are genuine threats. Why aren't they on the list?
No. And you can see Dave is fucking rattled as fuck, man. And what are you doing? Playing fucking Brick Breaker on your phone the whole fucking time?
Why?
I want you staring at me.
All right. Well, I'm looking at chat to make sure there's nothing going on. Get a hold of yourself.
I never even saw one fucking thing that usually Jen brings up. I didn't see anything.
And be honest with you, I'm not even looking at you. I'm looking at the YouTube video.
All right, let's do it.
Facts
Here, by the way,
of U.S. foreign policy from the last 4 years that would persuade you that this memo was not important.
Again, it's not the memo that you keep saying. It's that Wesley Clark says the decision's been made that we're going to
know? How would he know? He didn't even read the memo.
He's saying that his source at the Defense Department, and again,
so
keep in mind.
Is it your argument that no one at the DOD would ever exaggerate or lie? Because if that's what you're saying, then who are you and what have you done with Dave Smith?
Okay, well, certainly, Coleman, that's a blatant straw man and not at all what I'm saying. So, no, I'm not saying nobody would ever exaggerate.
I feel like his mom's in the corner. Coleman, show some teeth.
The point is that the supreme leader of the NATO allies, okay, he's saying that his guy at the Defense Department said the decision's been made. My guess is that he's talking to people at the Defense Department who are in the know on this. And the point is, look, obviously, Coleman, the plan didn't go exactly according to plan. There's just no question about that. All of this is, this is late 2001 here. This is still over a year, almost a year and a half until we invade Iraq. They all believed the hype. They all thought it was going to be a cakewalk. And in fact, that's another interesting thing that John Mearsheimer covers a bit there, right? Is that essentially this was Sharon's initial beef with invading Iraq. He was like, whoa. Like he's like, hey, I want Saddam Hussein overthrown, but we got to overthrow the mullahs in Iran first.
He did not.
Do you want to continue on this, or
we can push forward? But I'm just gonna make one final point on that part there again. Pushing back to geographically. I mean, dude, again, after 9/11, I think that the narrative was radical Muslims, took down the building. So whether that happened or not, I think it would be very, very plausible to have memos and different things going around.
Sure.
With countries that have extreme Islam.
Yeah, absolutely.
So none of this, again, unless you want to just blame it on the Jews, then we're good. Then we have no argument here.
Jews. Sorry.
But you know what I'm saying? If that's what you want to do, we have no argument here. We could have, not done the show. But if you want to have a legitimate or keep that credibility where you keep saying, I have no problem with Jewish people. It's more of, things that Israel, well, you need to fucking focus, Dave. You need to fucking focus, bro. And don't believe like your own hype and stop believing everything. Like, just because you read it in a book, does anybody realize that, books have been wrong?
No.
Oh, that's right. It's only YouTube videos, content creators, podcasters, and mainstream media.
And comedians. Don't forget comedians.
Yep. They're the ones that get it wrong. Books? Nah. If you read it in a book, it's gotta be the facts.
I read that in a book once.
Say no more. So let's see what else. So that's my take there. I mean, we're only halfway through and we're almost done with the show, so we got to kind of.
Yeah. What you want to split this into two episodes?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Maybe we'll just again. I don't think we have to play much from Candace. I have a couple of things that I wanted to.
Yeah, you're obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Go a little bit forward though, Jen. Before we go on the Candace thing, I'm just curious to see what is going to come up next, so I can. But I don't really. Well, that's not. I don't know if that's. That was to say that's not terrible too, because there was some interesting things that he said there. Was there a part of negotiations? Interesting, guys. Okay, I guess let's leave it at there. Was there ever a partner, negotiations, distrust, and Gaza? Yeah. All right. We'll leave it at there. That seems like it'll be a good place to pick up. And I must say before you go into the Candace thing, I swear to God to you, bro, that I am such a fucking nerd just like, well, Coleman uses a really, I mean, this is like the whitest black dude ever. With that being said, oh my God, you insulted. I know what it did. Honestly, I fucking loved it. Like, I could have watched that thing fucking 10 fucking times, dude. Like, legitimately.
Oh yeah.
I thought he and Dave did a fucking great job. Great job.
Well, I can watch it in with two different thoughts. Again, I learned a ton of things that I didn't know about the situation. So that was great. And again, debate wise, I thought that they both presented their sides very well. I just found that Coleman was obviously much more prepared and thus more compelling.
Yeah, and like we said, he just never expected. He expected to grab a scalp.
Yep.
What does Jen think about that? About what's going on with Dave Smith? Does she think it's an ego thing?
Well, she actually has the hots for Dave, so there's a lot of bias there.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
Oh, never mind.
No. Speaking to that mic, get up in there.
She said what she said. She's a woman of little words until we get off the fucking show and on.
Then she goes. Never mind. I don't know.
No. So anyway, we did pull some timestamp stuff for Candace, but again, I don't think we really need to go into it.
We got some time. We could.
Yeah. I mean, again, if you want to play a couple of things, just to kind of bolster what I'm saying, but she seems to be firing at everybody as far as who's to blame and whatever. Obviously, everybody except for Tyler Robinson, because his hands are clean on this one.
No, he's not. I think he's the shooter, Rex.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I understand that she's got this thing about the Jews, everything, and it's insane how everything just goes back to the Jews. But now she seems to be focusing her ire more on TPUSA. And, it seems to sort of circle around, and again, going back to the Jews, because, she has evidence that, Charlie was about to turn his back on Israel. People in the organization didn't like that. And then also how they were pulling the SD cards from there, that there was going to be some sort of a Doge type effort to find out where a lot of the finances were going. I can't think of a worse route to go as a conservative, as a friend of Charlie, as somebody who's supposed to be promoting the next generation of conservatives. The people who have a stake in the game for people in the TPUSA, the followers, the people who really are involved and invested in it. Their investment was really in with Charlie. It's not. They don't necessarily. If he would have, named it fucking shitbag McGillicuddy, they would have all been fine with it. It has nothing to do with the organization. So it really would be silly for TPUSA to, behind Charlie's back. Again, they'd have to be conspiring with Tyler. They'd have to be conspiring with the FBI. They'd have to be conspiring with now the coroner, which maybe we'll get to in another episode.
We can keep. Oh, what time is it? Close to 3?
Yeah. Well, we've got about 19 minutes until 3.
Okay.
And they have to be conspiring with local law enforcement. With again, we can pull up the whole list of people that would have to be involved in the conspiracy. I'm just not buying it yet. Yeah, we do have the list there. Yeah, there's Tyler, Lance, Tyler's parents, Phil
There's
Lineman.
so many more than that too.
Oh, I know. There's,
You know,
yeah. Again, I just mentioned the coroner now would also have to be involved in it. You know, because again, I know you and I have even talked about, you know, the autopsy reports, you know, have some compelling evidence one way or the other. I believe that
if they're real, that what's released, because I don't necessarily think that the FBI is released. Is it been officially released by the FBI? Like I'd like to know that for a fact, because I can't believe for a second before a trial they're gonna release an autopsy to only what content creators and shit, or
right.
You know what I mean?
And you had said something about, I believe, that Utah is one of the states where they don't release the autopsy report. Again, I don't even know if it was a local coroner who did it or the FBI coroner or whatever. I don't know.
I wasn't aware that I said that.
But Jen said it. Sorry, you guys look alike. You know, I think that the whole argument for a lot of this stuff not being
I just called her a handsome young lady,
or I called you a handsome young lady.
I accept. Go on.
Yeah. You know, it's very obvious that, you know, a lot of the stuff isn't being released because of you know, they've got to set the trial right. And Candace is sort of making the same argument now, that she's like, well, you know, if you're so sure that Tyler did it, then why aren't you releasing all the evidence? Okay, well, there's also the other side of the coin that you know, you're going to influence the juror pool. They're not going to be able to, you know, well, we can't get a fair jury because, you know, all of the incriminating evidence is online. They've seen, you know, HD video of him shooting it, so they can't be, you know, impartial.
I love it. That's exactly you're 100% right. And I'm telling you, she's gonna get herself in a heap of fucking trouble and find herself responsible for possibly having a alleged killer, Tyler Robinson, fucking walk. And you know what? And you know what, Candace? Copperhead Road saying it. You know what? That's going to be blood on your hands. Okay? You're not going to blame everybody else and spin it, because you're smart enough to know. Now, if it's for a fucking grift or some, you know, you want conspiracies, okay. Everything Rex just said, she's behind it all, because she is planting and doing all this just because she wants all that audience. She wants all of she wants to turn all of the Charlie Kirk, you know, people into her anti-Semitic ways, and that's why she's first planted the seed that Charlie was about to turn. Now she's planting the seed that, you know, TPUSA's hiding, or you know, hiding something. So maybe it's her master plan that she's trying to do something that's nefarious. Again, I'm being hyperbolic here, because she needs to understand the responsibility that she has. I'm not saying don't talk about it. I'm not saying don't, you know, maybe run some things, you know, up the ladder, because you do know people,
right?
But I don't like right now. If you want to see the killer, whoever that is, if you don't think it's Tyler Robinson, get put away because he killed your fucking friend, you're really doing the dick thing. And if anybody that liked Charlie Kirk, if you didn't like him, then it doesn't matter. Let Candace do whatever she wants.
Right.
But don't sit there and attack me on the fucking comments and because you're fucking up Candace's fucking ass. Okay. And one time you like Charlie Kirk, because if you did and you really did ever like him and care about what he believed in and what his movement was, she's fucking you. She's slapping you in the fucking face with this shit. Yeah. Not for just the horrible shit she's saying, but because she could fuck up this case. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I was going to say there's nothing wrong with having alternative theories and presenting them as this could be this could be that. But when you start, again, having that sort of, voice inflection where everything is you're incredulous of everything, where again, you're just reading normal statements that, okay, she's like, well, there's a lot of things going on out there, and I'm getting this information that there was actually 6 people on the roof. Okay, there were 6 people on the roof.
6 people.
Yeah. I mean, it just seems kind of strange. I don't know. I'm just guessing around here.
But my sources tell me that when I guess, I'm right, and I have a text right here. If you guys want to pull up that text of me saying, "Yep," see how it says right there? It clearly says, "When you guess, you're right, Candace," and then with the little winky face emoji. So I mean, it's clear.
And my sources are saying that there was a car that drove by. They're playing the Bee Gees, and bees, Utah. Bees has the same amount of letters as Jews. Come on, come on.
I mean, it really is. Again, fuck. Like, I think I found our fucking niche. I think our fucking niche is like being able to criticize people that we don't that we enjoy, and that we do enjoy their content. We do believe, but we may, you know what? Here we go. Get somebody write this down. Copperhead Road Podcast, calling spades a spade.
Whoa.
What?
Now you're being racist.
Whoa. You even thinking that was in any way.
All right. I don't know. For some reason, your mic's going kind of weird.
It's fucking kind of weird.
There you go. It was just a little garbly, a little T-pained on me. That's all.
You wish.
Yeah. I'd also like at some point to not attack Steven Crowder, but I'd like to address his immune system. That motherfucker is sick all the time. He's got the stomachs yesterday.
Yeah, again, he's always complaining. I think he's part of that Munchausen's. you know those little, those little donuts from Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, they were in the Wizard of Oz.
I think he's got that disease.
Yeah, maybe by proxy. Maybe he's making other people sick.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm glad you're ready to address it. No, but I think that is our niche. Is being able to take shots and, like I said, call a spade a spade.
Yeah, maybe we can address Tucker's ridiculous, manic, fucking villain in a goddamn James Bond movie laugh that he has.
Yeah. He's again. I like certain things Tucker says. I've always
love him.
Right. I've always really liked them. But they all get batshit crazy. And again, if you were batshit crazy like you and I are, where we're just being fucking silly gooses.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Or silly
I think it's geese.
Can you be? I think you're allowed to say the silly gooses when you're using it in silly.
Yeah, I don't know. Goose.
Like numerous silly geese
how does
silly gooses.
How does it work with moose? Is it just there's a lot of moose? Or is it mooses?
Moosin.
Meese?
Moosin. No, not meese. Moosin. Yeah. Yep. I did learn probably after my 40s. What's it 30 years ago? We get it. Not even nearly that old. Anyway, that there was the word fishes.
Oh yeah?
Did you know that?
Like fishes and loaves night?
No, like if you can use the word fishes, like if I'm going, we were in the sea and Rex and I were exploring so many different fishes.
Oh, okay.
You can say it. But if yet there's a school of fish, it's just a fish.
Well, it's like if you're talking about the Toronto hockey team, it's the Maple Leafs. There should be Maple Leaves.
Wow. never knew that. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, and there is no plural for like the Tampa Bay Lightning. Just the Lightning.
Good night, everybody.
Spotify, Rumble, iHeart, iTunes. You flicking off. Love you. Bye.